Our biggest critic by far is YouTuber and streamer Pirate Software. Thor does not understand what Stop Killing Games is. Here it is in his words.
So for those who don't understand,
there's a difference between Fuda and actual femboys. My dad works for Blizzard, so I know what I'm talking about here.
is basically
Yeah.
we don't want single-player games to have DRM that the developers can turn off and thus render the single-player games inactive anymore.
Digital rights management versus technology is used to control how digital content can be accessed. You should be able to have DRM. So what this sounds like to me, and again, I might be uneducated, is there are single-player games that require an online component in some capacity that they turn off that online component and you can't play the single-player game. That's bullshit. They should have the online component if they want, but once they no longer support the media, there should be a pathway to still being able to play that game, even if there are some features missing, like events or something. As long as the things missing would be reasonable. Like if you're like, oh, we can't do events anymore because we're not supporting it anymore. Like, okay, that's perfectly fair. But if you can't play like a fundamental aspect of the game, that's ridiculous.
They need to be specific that they're talking about single-player games that do not need a server to support them.
No.
And as much as they want it to be about specifically games, where it is a single-player game that has always online functionality, it would impact every live service game that exists, instead of just targeting single-player, always online games.
That's not what it is. Stop Killing Games is a consumer movement started to challenge the legality of publishers destroying video games they have sold to customers.
That's probably one of the best taglines I've ever seen. That's so short, sweet, and comprehensive. Like there's no way you could that up or disagree with the movement.
The short version is the initiative is about requiring publishers to have end-of-life plans for games they've sold to customers in the future. So when they shut them down, customers can continue running them without their support.
This guy couldn't have packaged this any better.
Imagine the day that World of Warcraft shuts down and suddenly you have to make it a single-player game for every individual that ever bought the game.
Imagine this guy wasn't a dumb lying and all the other guy in the video wants to do is say like, hey, when World of Warcraft does inevitably shut down, they just make it so that you can accessibly host it yourself so you can play with some people. They can even augment the source code in some capacity so that they can like change the private server, which they already do right now. So that's kind of like very obviously reasonable. I think Thor does realize what he's asking for. I think he's doing reasonable trolling. It's fake reasonable. He knows that like the things that he's saying are dumb, and he's really just doesn't support this initiative because it would take away money from game publishers. He comes up with these fake arguments lying about the narrative because I think he has a vested interest in protecting game creators more than the actual gaming community.
Anyway, he went on to delete my reply to him.
So Pyre watched one of the most genuine people that I've really ever seen as a creator and decided that he was a malicious dickhead and then deleted his response after this guy reached out to him. It just seems like he's just insistent to be against this movement for whatever reason. I could see his like potential interest in running disinformation for this policy because he wants to be a game developer that never releases a game, apparently. Is this part of his game? Oh my god. Pirate, is this part of your game? What are you doing with the wand, Pirate? What are you doing with the wand, Pirate?